So yes, CJ, a brilliant season, a brilliant year for the Fermanagh ladies, finishing on the steps of the Hogan Stand as All-Ireland champions. We're going to talk to you a bit about your career, but we'll start at the most recent point and winning the All-Ireland with Fermanagh. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was obviously a great year. We sort of started off as a sort of rookie management team. Key and Connor had just come out of playing with Fermanagh Men, still playing club, and obviously I had just finished up a year or two ago as well, and then obviously with Conor McGourty, a young fella, and Sean McCartney. So, for us as well, it was a great experience for the girls. But it was also a great experience for us as a management team as well. Getting to coach a great set of girls that, walked up the Hogan Stand and fully deserved. But, credit must go to the players for their commitment and their efforts, and they got the just reward at the end of the year.
I think this was your first step into county management, CJ, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, it was first step. I've been in previous sort of interview stating that I had a friend at college, Emer Martin, who sadly passed away last year, and I just thought the timing was, the Fermanagh job had come up just recently after the death, and I thought, we'd always talked about it in college that, one day sure it might be over Fermanagh at some stage, so I just thought, why not go for it? I'd coached around St. Galls for a number of years. I took Arvo sort of the one under sort of 15, under 16 sort of titles, and I just thought, well, look, why not? Let's give it a go, and let's see how it goes. And look, it all ended up well. I just thought that, especially with that group of girls that had been following Fermanagh for a couple of years, and they had a lot of heartbreak, and they sort of were getting towards the finish line in most games, and sort of something unlucky happening, or they just didn't manage the game properly. And probably that experience is where I sort of seen myself in big games, sort of understanding how to manage games appropriately, and that's sort of why I sort of went for the job, because I thought I could help out in some way. And look, as I say, the rest is history, I suppose. Everything worked out well, and we ended up winning the All-Ireland.
Those big games, CJ, you had them in club and county level across both codes. So
yeah.
Does that help you carrying that into your management setup? Does that always help, that sort of big day experience, and you know what to expect and how to prepare?
Yeah, like you always pick different things up from different managers and how they prepared or how they prepared your team. And I put a few of them in place this year, just about, trying to stay low key before games, trying to sort of stay under the radar, all them wee small sorts of things. But I suppose when in the actual 60 minutes, it's actually harder to sort of put your stamp on the game, because you're not across the white line. And that's probably one of the things I found difficult this year was, you're in the lap of the gods, really. You're depending on players to make good decisions on the ball, and you can't really affect the game on match day apart from, a half-time team talk or making a couple of small changes or people off the bench. And it is difficult on the line when trying to see stuff, but picking stuff up from other managers and sort of trying to go with them in terms of wee sort of small detail that I sort of brought into Fermanagh this year that maybe helped us along the way.
And looking back at your career, CJ, I suppose you've enjoyed a really successful time with St. Galls, and that carried into your Antrim career as well. When did you first come into the Antrim setup, CJ? Were you there for the Ulster final in 2009, or did you come in after that?
No, I was actually in America that summer, so I missed it, which is probably why they got the Ulster final first. No, look, I came in the Antrim setup in 05, 06, I was still a minor. I made my debut against Calvin in 06, if I'm right, or maybe 07. I was still only 18 at the time, so yeah, look, it was a long enough stint to be with Antrim in terms of, maybe did 10, 11 years with Antrim. Obviously missed a year or two because being American, whatever else was going on, long seasons with St. Galls, you needed a break. But yeah, look, I got to 10 or 11 years with Antrim, and I played in a couple of big games with club and county, and that sort of helps you during your coaching or your management, because you're always sort of learning new experiences along the way, and they're always sort of in the memory bank, if you want to put it that way, and trying to learn from them as you go into your sort of coaching career, management career.
Around that time, CJ, when you're a minor and you're coming into the senior squad, you're playing hurling at that time as well, like, and as you're mentioning, that's the sort of the time that St. Gall's get on their really good run. So you're probably playing after Christmas of club stuff every year. So you must be pulled and dragged into a couple of different teams when you're about 18.
Yeah, look, I was actually playing for 11 different teams at the stage. When I was 18, I know that's sort of hard to believe, but you know, I was playing with minor footballers, minor hurlers, playing with St. Gall's, minor footballers and hurlers. So there's 4. You're playing with St. Gall's, senior hurlers, senior footballers. There's 6. Playing with my school, LaSalle, 7. Playing soccer for Donegal Celtic is 8. Playing with Antrim under 21s. You know, so you know, there's 9 or 10, as I say. So you were sort of pulled in all directions. That's probably something I look back now in my career and probably not fully regret, but you're always sort of asking, you know, I'm 36 now, I could probably still offer something, but you know, the body, I had 3 hip operations before I was 26, 27, like, so wasn't really good in hindsight playing for that many teams, but that, look, it was only natural back then. There was a lot of other people, I'm sure, and especially in dual clubs, playing hurling football, playing for the county, playing for their schools or colleges, like, so it was just sort of the norm back then. And nowadays probably people have their eyes opened a little bit and are probably, you know, looking at trying to manage their week a little bit better. You know, I was going from school training straight out to St. Gall's All-Ireland training, because we were in All-Ireland in 06, which was my last year at school. And you were nearly doing double sections every single day. But again, learning curve as a manager, you know, at this minute in time, I'm only off the phone to one of the Fermanagh girls about trying to manage her through. She's playing O'Connor Cup with Queens at the minute, or Jordantown or St. Mary's, and we're trying to have her out for Fermanagh, and we're trying to manage load so players don't get injured. So you're always trying to put, again, your own spin on things, but also I think I've helped the players because I've been there and played, and you understand where they're getting pulled and dragged, and I always think you play better when you're fresh and, you know, you're fit, obviously. So, you know, still today, even though it was me 10 years ago, I'm still trying to manage girls through certain aspects of the season, or bits of the season, should I say, to make sure that they're fully fit for tomorrow.
And at that time, CJ, I think St. Gall's, their run started in 2001, so you go from, you want to win Antrim, you win it a couple of times in a row, you set your sights on Ulster, you win it, get beaten in an All-Ireland final. So it's step by step, the goal and the goalposts keep moving because you've achieved Antrim, you've achieved Ulster. So at that time, what was that like to be part of that St. Gall setup at that stage? Because you are one of the best teams in Ireland and you are competing at that level every year.
Yeah, look, it was, you know, it's only now that you realise how fortunate you were. Obviously, we're speaking on the Monday after an Ulster club playing, so you know, even watching them games yesterday, it brings back memories of 05 and 09 and getting on them runs. I think in one of the groups I'm in there, or the St. Gall's groups, that one of the boys shared a picture of a bus trip down to maybe an Ulster match or whatever, and you just see the joy that it brought to people. And I suppose when you're in the heat of the moment, and it's a bad thing, I've always said this in previous interviews as well, sometimes it's a real bad thing and a negative thing in your life, because you get so obsessed with winning and driving, right, that's I'll achieve what's next, and you get on this unhealthy sort of a healthy run in a sport ways, but all other aspects of your life you just lose control of them because you're so focused on that one goal. But look, it was an unbelievable run. I'd say, looking back on it now, to win 2 Ulster clubs, to win All-Ireland, to win All-Ireland Intermediate Hurling Final the same year, I suppose, to win it on our 100th year anniversary was, you know, I'm not sure if that's been done by another club, but to win it, you know, on your 100th year anniversary was something special. Look, it's always something that you connect with. You know, I've played with a lot of players, but with them 30 that we won the All-Ireland with, you're always going to have that connection with, and that's what I sort of you said to the managers as well. Like, your time is now, you know, let's win it now. And then we always have that connection when you meet someone out or you see someone years later. You always have that connection. But it was real special times. Like, there's no point in lying about it. But I think in sport as well, we probably lost to Cross in 07 in Ulster final, which we probably could have won. We were ahead at half time. We lost to Cross the year after winning the Ireland, and it was a tight game, and then they steamrolled everyone else. So you're always looking to. We lost an All-Ireland final in 06 as well, which 7-6 we probably should have won. So it's always the ones that you lose in that hurt you more than the ones that you win, obviously. But as I say, that's the unhealthy bit of me coming out, I suppose. As I said earlier, that you're always in that frame of mind from 20 to 28 where that was the only thing that mattered in my life, and that was probably wrong with me. But I'd be happy to admit that the only drive in my life between 20 and 28 was succeeding with some goals. And, whether it's good in one way, it's probably not so good in another way.
Did it impact your county career, do you feel, CJ? Because I know like Crossmaglen were obviously a dominant force at that stage too, and I know that some of their players have said, you're playing to March, you can hardly get time to celebrate or whatever else if you go all the way and you're straight back into county season. Like, it's just an endless cycle. Like, did you find that at that time?
Yeah, look, it probably was an endless cycle for a couple of years. Yes, it was great winning St. Galls, absolutely, but as I say, you were going late into the winter, usually for about 7 or 8 years, and then you were starting with Antrim, and I found that, I wasn't really happy with my performances with Antrim for a good while, because I just think mentally you were drained. You were just going over and over, and that's why I sort of said earlier in the interview that trying to keep players fresh is key, because I think just going out of a club season straight into a county season, straight into whatever, a club season again, it is difficult if you're on the road for maybe 9-10 years in a row like that. It's different if you put out a championship one year and you get a couple of months break. But yeah, it probably did impact county career in terms of you wanted to step away. But I also think that St. Galls had that mindset at that time that we could beat anyone. And yes, you look at it, probably the proof is in the pudding that we did beat certain teams on certain days, like Nemo Rangers and Corofin, etc. But when you went to Antrim, I'm not so sure that the belief was there from others that you could go and beat anyone on any given day, and there was no reason why we shouldn't have had that belief, because I think it was 2011 Tyrone came to the casement on the back of an All-Ireland a couple of years previous, and we were running the 4 points. But as I say, I'm not so sure that the belief was there with others that we could really do things with Antrim. And looking back on that Antrim team, we had a real good Antrim team at that time. Real good Antrim team. And probably underachieved, to be honest. But in my opinion, the club season probably impacted Antrim for him, yeah.
And obviously getting over the line in that All-Ireland final in 2010, CJ, that's obviously the crowning moment for, I'm sure, yourself personally and for the club and everything. But losing 4 years earlier, does that only make you hungrier? And when you get to that All-Ireland stage, you get to represent your club in Croke Park. Not everybody gets to do it. Losing, and as you mentioned, by 1 point, does that only give you the drive to come back? And no matter how long it takes, you're going to get there eventually?
Probably with that group of players, yeah. Obviously, there's a few players that missed out that were there in 06 and obviously don't have an All-Ireland medal because it retired at that stage. So, it's just unfortunate for them. But yeah, look, the drive was there after, I suppose you're talking about a journey there. We started trying to get St. Galls back to the top in Antrim and started to do that in 01, 02. And then you suddenly, I'm not sure if there was any given day, but suddenly something clicks in 03 or 04 where you beat one of the big teams and you go, hold on a minute, we're good. We can do this. And, then we small victories, even though you might not have won anything that year, you may have got the Ulster semi-final and Ulster final. And then you start to go, geez, we are up to the standard. And, we then, we were beating an Ireland final about 0.76. We probably could have won it. And we're like, Jesus, well, there's definitely an All-Ireland in this team. Okay, we need a bit of luck. And we need a couple of young players to still come through, etc., etc. But that belief was always there from, I would say, from in around 03, where they beat us in Ulster final in the around 2012, 13, that we were probably within the best, 10, 12, 14 teams in Ireland, but we needed obviously a bit of luck and a bit of rub of the green, like every team does. But definitely the belief and the drive was there to get back after losing in 06. And obviously then when we got the 10, we sort of had learned our lessons, and we thought, this is our time, and every sort of thing sort of added up. For me personally, it added up. It was our 100th year. My dad was involved in a lot of them 100-year sort of anniversary things that the club did. My uncle then, he was managing the team. It just, I don't know, something felt right from the start of the year that this was going to be our year. As I say, we got a bit of rub of the green on the way through Ulster, and you need that.
And you've obviously won the All-Ireland that year. CJ, you have another All-Ireland medal. This is in hurling and with Tyrone. I suppose tell us about your switch to Tyrone. I know you'd moved to Arboe, so that's obviously how you switched allegiances.
Yeah, look, I was married down in Arboe and I was living there, and I sort of knew Michael McShane, his wife would have taught me at school back in the LaSalle days. I sort of would have met him on a trip or two over to Celtic, and I suppose he got wind that I was living in Arboe at the time. I was living there 3 or 4 years. He took over the Tyrone hurling job. I remember, God rest him, Damian Cassidy had put out a tweet, and it sort of responded to it in a joking way, and sort of then met up with Damian and Mickey, had a chat, and just sort of laid from there. And it was honestly a great experience to not only to play with Tyrone hurlers or to be under Mickey, but it was also an unbelievable experience to play with Damian Cassidy and just see the actual capability of them all.
Yeah, I think Damian Cassidy's probably one of them hurlers. It's probably fair to say Ulster hurling, there's not that many hurlers that would be known, but Damian Cassidy was one of them ones, was probably known mostly throughout Ireland as one of the best hurlers possibly in the country, CJ. So I suppose what was your connection like with him, because I know you and him would have been probably the main scorers up on the forward line for Tyrone, so you'd obviously had a good link with him.
Look, I say I would have known Damian very, very briefly through, probably just his name or being at events, throughout the years. I never really knew him in person until I started with Tyrone, and, I would have went up to training with him a couple of nights. I remember one day match with him, in his car up from Dungannon, and as I say, just an unbelievable talent. Like, when you hear these players are good players, and you're thinking, right, okay, dead on, but see some of the stuff he did at training. I remember Mickey shouted at him one night for, come and get the ball, Damian. And just, there was 4 men around him. He just came and got the ball out of the air and stuck it in the top corner, and it was just stuff of genius. Like, there's a couple of scores he got throughout the time that, maybe only 60 or 70 people, because, when you're going to the sort of Roscommon, there's not that many at the matches, but I was there to sort of witness him for 2 years and go, this man is actually incredible. And that was one of my fondest moments of playing with Tyrone, was just every day I went out with him, he could see a pass, he could link up with you, he could play a 50-yard ball over someone's head straight in your hand. Like, the man was just a genius, and for me to witness that for 2 years, that some other people mightn't have seen, was just a brilliant way to end my career too.
And the end of your career, CJ, obviously you retired. After that, was that a tough decision? I know you'd won plenty during your playing days, but it's probably still a tough decision to finally step away.
Yeah, look, probably, as I say, I probably still think I can offer something somewhere, but it's also the question that, look, I have a young daughter there now, 3.5. To be quite honest, I struggle to tie my right shoelace, because just in my hip on that side is just a disaster. So, you've got to weigh it up with family life, and are you going to be able to do certain things with your family, etc. Are you just going to put yourself through the mill until your body actually just absolutely breaks down? And, I'm going to need a hip replacement before I'm 50. The surgeon told me that in the last operation way back 10 years ago. So I already know I'm struggling in that area, but there has to become a time where, I suppose what I said earlier, like, I'm not in that sort of drive anymore of 20 to 28. I've actually got a different outlook in sport. It's absolutely brilliant sport for kids, for adults, for all of us. It brings a sense of community, especially the GA, but you've also got to weigh it up. Do I really need to go back and drive for another year or two and try and win something else at the expense of being able to walk or run or do stuff with my daughter Emer in 6, 7, 8 years' time? And probably if you had asked me that question in, I'd say in my mid-20s, I would have said absolutely just give me anything I can win. Whereas now I probably have it over the past sort of 4 or 5 years. I've had a different sort of outlook in life where I'm like, yeah, sport means an awful lot to us, but it's not the sort of the end all, if you know what I mean, be all and end all. And I think that's an important thing that I've learned through sport as well.
Does management help to replace that, CJ, once you can't sort of do it on the field anymore? Does doing it on the line help, or does it help replace it?
It's like anything, you know. I was lucky enough to have good coaches and schools, you know, Dad, Lenny, you know, Tony Early, Sean Kelly, all good people that I've learned a lot of. But they always give back, and yeah, look, going to Fermanagh every night, as I say, you get thanked, you get appreciated, you're thanked for your time there. You know, you're always trying to give something back, and you're always trying to develop players. At the end of the day, it's great Fermanagh won something, but we also don't want to be a yo-yo club or team going back from one intermediate to junior. I want to try and build Fermanagh for the future and make sure that young players are through. The players that we've already got are going back to their clubs as better players, no matter what age you are, through hard coaching. So it's, look, I suppose about giving back. Does it replace playing? Probably does slightly, because you're still in that environment of winning, trying to win stuff, etc. But sometimes when you're at training your way up, is this the old me that is just driving something to win? Or am I the new sort of me that's trying to develop players, and if we win something along the way, dead on, great. But it's more for the social aspect and to develop players and get players better. And I'm always a big believer, if you're making players better and developing players and have a good culture with players and a good rapport with players, then that's going to lead you to the end result, which is trying to win something or very close to winning something. So it's challenging, let me tell you, managing. You know, trying to manage absolutely everything. I would say I'm a more coach, and that's where I see myself best. I've always said that in coaching, you know, training teams and whatever. But look, I can't deny that the last year and a bit with Fermanagh has been so enjoyable in terms of managing a good group of players, and I'm very fortunate to do that.
And I think you've sort of touched on the final question, CJ. I was going to ask you what the future holds, but I suppose you're just after detailing it there. That's what your immediate future is going to be, is trying to make sure Fermanagh are staying in the same place or getting better.
Yeah, look, the immediate thing is to try and get out of Division 4, but I actually think Division 4 is harder this year than it was last year. Just with teams dropping down, and like Leitrim are still in it, who ended up winning the intermediate championship. This year they're still in Division 4, so they're finding it tough to get out at the minute too. But yeah, look, I didn't want to leave Fermanagh on the back of winning All Ireland. I think we have a good rapport there with the girls, but like as I say, eventually we'll move on. Whether it's next year, the year after, I don't know. But you know, I do want to sort of get into men's football, and you know, I see myself as a trainer, as a coach, more so than a manager. But look, opportunities in football come about from time to time, and you've just got to weigh things up. But I think this year I definitely had a loyalty to Fermanagh and making sure that we went back and we try and improve things and continue to improve things for the next couple of years and see where it takes us. But the immediate goal for Fermanagh is to try and stay up, and the immediate goal for me is to make sure that I do everything possible to try and help them players achieve and to keep driving the thing forward. But I did apply for the Ballymacnab job, but it was only a 1 minute conversation with Mr. Waters, who basically told me that no chance.
you and him can take it in a couple of years, CJ.
I don't know. I'd love to get him as a player. He would hear from me anyway.
Good man, CJ. No, thanks very much for doing that, CJ.
Anytime.